Hi guys, some of our politicians are crying ever since Olusegun Obasanjo endorsed Mr. Peter Obi of Labour Party candidates. Guys, watch this video and hear what Dele Farotimi said about APC and PDP.
To deal with General Obasanjo's endorsement, let me say this. I have had several occasions to quarrel with the person of General Obasanjo, but whether I like it or not, and whether anyone else likes it or not, he's a two-time president, in fact, three-time president of this country. How he performed or did not perform is the subject of history. But General Obasanjo himself is a man who is keenly aware of history, and he has sought to write that history multiple times, which is why he writes books. And we have had occasion to quarrel with some of those books. But I will say that for the first time in my lifetime, and General Obasanjo has occupied the bulk of my lifetime. It's been in my consciousness since I was in primary school. And for the first time in my life, I have occasion to agree with the Ebora Wu. And I believe that he has taken a decision that is rooted in reason and that cannot be faulted. He has written copiously as he has written in the past, but this time around, I happen to agree with him. And for the first time as well, General Obasanjo actually took responsibilities for the things he himself might have done wrong, and I believe he did a lot wrong. But he took responsibility. Now he has taken his own decision. General Obasanjo has one vote. But General Obasanjo has considerable influence within and outside Nigeria, and some people listen to him. That is the weight of his words. And he spoke those words, and he spoke them in favor of Mr. Gregory Peter Obi, endorsing him for the onerous task that is ahead. I have been heard saying severally that Nigeria has been destroyed. It has to be rebuilt. And you have to reimagine it and convince the people of the need to do so. So when you have a man like General Obasanjo, who has had his time and he has admitted to the past failings, and he comes up and he says, this is a man I'm endorsing. And then all of a sudden, you begin to hear the cackling. Yeah, cackling like hens in hen houses. First thing is this. Yorubas will say, your enemy's horse, his steed is rarely ever taller than a goat. If General Obasanjo's endorsement is as worthless as they would have you believe with the bitter grapes, sour grapes that they've been spitting since yesterday, why did they go all the way to Ota and Abeokuta with their entourage? I was looking at a picture of Emilio Compro almost prostrating for Obasanjo in his house. All of a sudden, his endorsement is worthless. It's sour grapes, and they can eat as much of it as they care. Nigerians know better. General Obasanjo is one person, but he's an important person in this country, and he has had his say. The people will still have their way. He has had his own say. The people would have their way, and it is our belief and prayer that the Nigerians will be sufficiently awakened to the need for the drastic changes that this country demands in this year. So General Obasanjo has rightly said his piece, and I agree with him completely for the first time in my life.
We've talked about the fact that former President Olusegun Obasanjo has come out to endorse Mr. Peter Obi of the Labour Party, and of course the Labour Party is quite excited, whilst opposition parties are not quite as excited. However, one of the things that the PDP said, which I'd like you to respond to, is that former President Olusegun Obasanjo endorsed and supported the current president, Muhammadu Buhari, in 2015, he lost. Supported Atiku Abubakar, he lost. And now he's supporting Peter Obi, and we're excited that what is really the power of an endorsement? What impact does it have on the chances of the Labour Party's candidate in the coming elections?
General Obasanjo's letter wasn't just about endorsing Peter Obi. So it's the way we are that we all, including myself, had reduced the letter to the 2 paragraphs that detailed the endorsement of Peter Obi. The importance of that letter, I believe, is that it gives a short history of the failings and failure of a state. And it then also offers hope for perhaps a rejuvenation of that same country. So I would prefer that we look at it more as a call to action than as an endorsement. But because of the question you have asked, and in order to particularize the answer, is a function of who are those who listen to General Obasanjo in Nigeria. As my brother Nwokobe had pointed out, there is a class called the owners of Nigeria. And then there are Nigerians generally. These are the people who would evaluate the value of the words spoken by General Obasanjo as he outlined the truth of our circumstances in his write-up. If he has he made the right call, even in the endorsement of Peter Obi? These are value judgments that will be made by the people of Nigeria. Ultimately, even though the class of those who consider themselves responsible for Nigeria, because they are the ones who have brought it to where it is today, and the summary given by General Obasanjo is an admission of a generational failure. Even in the face of that failing, there was also the recognition of the fact that it belongs to the youth and it is up to us. So the man is not suggesting that by his endorsement, he had somehow acquired the capacity to decree into existence a president in Aso Rock. The prerogative still resides with the Nigerian people, and that is what is important. Now, having dealt with whether the endorsement is of consequence to the people or not, we can now deal with this specificity of what had happened with his past endorsements. If the people had refused to listen to him in the past, it is demonstrative of the fact that the people thought better at that time. Pain is a consecrating agent. We have had 7.5 years of being buffeted and afflicted by the current government. The value of Obasanjo's endorsement will be determined at the polls. I have no crystal ball, but it might very well be that just as his words had resonated in me, who had rebelled against his existence all my life, I'm sure it will resonate in a lot of Nigerians as well, because he spoke the truth. The truth, you can't argue with. That is why nobody has argued with what he has said. All they have argued is the value of endorsement. Has he lied about the recap of history? They should talk to that. Has he lied about the fact that it is our country to grab and do with as we please? They should speak to that as well. But the value of his endorsement, like I have said, your enemy's horse is rarely ever taller than a goat. We thank him for his endorsement, but we thank him more for the truth that he spoke.
Mr. Dele Farotimi, your take on these two issues. Is he now a hero? And what are the other owners of Nigeria? What's the read about that? The other owners of Nigeria? Because, like I said, there's still the sentiment of religion and tribe.
If you would recall, my initial response was that Obasanjo is paying a penance to history by the letter he wrote and the endorsement it contained. That would suggest that I am not interested in heroifying the man. But the man has done something right, and I agree completely with what he has done. Now, Nigeria has a pantheon of heroes that is almost completely empty. The halls are empty. There aren't too many people sat in that place because very few people have covered themselves in glory when it comes to Nigeria. If General Obasanjo and others who have brought Nigeria to where it is today, because we are not here by accident, we are here by design and by the carelessness of those who had ruined this country in place of ruling it or leading it. So if we have come to an inflection point where it has become patently clear to all, I have spoken variously on your platform. I've spoken to the unsustainable place that Nigeria has found itself. That means that it behoves every Nigerian, whether those be people with whom we have agreed in the past or those with whom we have been at war, when we've come to the understanding of the strategic importance and we can agree on a common purpose we must of necessity work together. So whether those be former heads of state or whether those be Wasiu on the street, it doesn't matter. At this point, we need to get out of the mess we are in. Obasanjo does not become a hero for me, but he has done something to be commended in this moment. Now, what happens to make him a hero or a villain will be a function of the totality of the life he would have lived and that I would have lived. Well, that is what would determine what anyone becomes. Now, to deal with the more specific case of the other rulers of Nigeria, this, as you have said, is the painful situation in which we have found ourselves, where we aggregate the ownership of a country to persons. But the beauty of the Obi candidacy is that if Nigerians are to ever become, if Obi will win, Nigerians would have to have become citizens. They would have to have taken ownership of their country. It cannot be handed to Obi by some owners of Nigeria. It will take Nigerians, the youth, those to whom tomorrow belongs. Me, they told me all these years, you are the leaders of tomorrow. I'm going to be 55 this year. I'm not the leader of anything. There is nothing to lead. It's already been ruined, almost beyond redemption. So it is those to whom tomorrow belongs, those in their 20s, 30s, perhaps early 40s, they have to consider this coming election as the opportunity to take their country back, make it their own. The world has become a global village, and they don't want to continue living like this. They cannot continue to outsource the ownership of their motherland to those who are now in their 80s. I'm not even, Baba Obasanjo might even be in his 90s if the truth be told. And then we are now waiting. They can't be the ones who tell us what to do. They might tell us the truth and we deduce those truths from our own experiences. They can point in the direction to us, and our facts and realities should tell us when they are telling us the truth. So whatever any other owner of Nigeria might care to say, whether they agree with General Obasanjo or they disagree with him, we are the ones who have to agree with the evidences of our senses and do the right thing in the coming election.